They need to remember that their job is to continually get new business and not to do whatever it is that their business does. If they're a plumber, their job is not to plumb. That's not the right word, but to do plumbing, their job is to get more business because I do some consulting. And when I ask them how they get new business, I cringe when they say, "Oh, it's all through referral or through word of mouth." I'm like, you don't have a business if that's the case. It's like that can stop tomorrow. You need to come up with ways to generate new leads and new content and new emails and new customers all the time so that if you and never take your foot off the gas, no matter how busy you get, because that can all stop. So as long as you have more, the better you are. So get better at generating business for your business and then worry about, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a good product or service, but then worry about fulfilling it.
G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Trewin. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Chris M. Walker from Legiit. He's based in Las Vegas, US. Thanks for your time today, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with how we know each other. So Dev on your team reached out and thought you'd be a great guest for us.
Yeah, one of the things I started this year was I wanted to do as many podcasts and interviews and type stuff as possible. And I've thought, how can I find them? And I assigned them to that. And he's been fantastic at that. So.
Yeah, that's good. As Zoolander said, podcasts, especially guesting, is so hot right now. So you're in the right spot.
Wonderful. Yeah, not to get ahead of ourselves, but I find that it's actually helpful for AI SEO. So
absolutely. And someone I recorded last week, Interview Valet, I think it was Tom Schwab, mentioned that exact point. He said, long form audio is not just great for the know, like, trust factor for your audience, for humans listening to you, but AI is also scooping all that content up and getting to understand you as an authority, which helps obviously then you bubble further up in the AI responses like ChatGPT and searches and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Now, before we move on, you've got to tell me this funny story with Xarch. Before we hit record, you want me to mention the M in your middle name, which I did.
Yeah. So I go by Chris M. Walker, and the reason I tell that story whenever I do a presentation, but the reason I have the M is if you search for Chris Walker, there was a one-hit wonder in the 90s. It looked like some kind of R&B singer named Chris Walker, and he dominates when you search for Chris Walker. And I do a lot of brand reputation, and I couldn't do anything with that. So I added my middle initial to it, and that's why I go by Chris M.
Yeah, great. I had a guest on about 4 years ago here in Australia, and his first name was Goose, and I had to ask him at the start. Didn't prepare him that I was going to ask. So you got to tell me about your name. How'd you get your name? Similar story. I don't know if you know much about cricket. I know major cricket leagues just launched in the US a couple of years ago. I watched a bit of that. But here in Australia, one of Australia's best fast bowlers is called Glenn McGrath. So Goose McGrath, obviously his first name was Glenn, and he grew up in a country town not far from the legend, or the cricket legend. So his nickname was Goose. So he, by deed poll, got his first name changed to Goose McGrath for that exact reason, for the confusion.
Yeah, it's kind of like Prince, right? He changed his name from Prince to a symbol.
Yeah. All right, tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Yeah, so Legiit is let me start at the beginning. When it started, I had a background doing freelancing mostly on SEO services, and I was using a marketplace type site, and it was doing well for me. And then it started having lots of problems, and so I started selling things through my own SEO agency site. And I'd made friends with some of the freelancers on that other platform, and they saw me selling through my own site and were like, "Can I sell through your site too?" I was like, well, maybe there's something here. So I partnered with a developer who was also a customer from that site, and we built Legiit into what was originally just going to be a marketplace. When I say a marketplace, I mean a two-way marketplace. I try to avoid this comparison, but for easy sake, it's like a Fiverr type of thing. And it was just going to be an extra product for my SEO business. But within the first month, it became my number one revenue source. And from there, we've grown it in a few different directions. I really wanted it to just have the advantages that I had in growing a brand as a freelancer and turning it into other brands. And then also to cater directly to businesses where a lot of the marketplace type sites try to appeal to everyone. We want to specifically work with businesses. And then over time, we've tried to differentiate ourselves and find solutions to help businesses. And what we've done is build in like a software and a SaaS type platform into it and some AI that will help people troubleshoot and diagnose their business, and then figure out who they can get to help do it, or just teach them how to do it themselves. So if you have a business and you want to outsource and grow and do things and you don't want to hire some $10,000 a month agency that's not going to get you any results. I'm sure you've heard that story numerous times.
Yep.
That's kind of the niche that we fill, is it's giving you the information that you need to do it, and the people to execute that information.
So is it, so for a small business owner, is it mainly for the marketing needs of that small business? They'd go to your platform?
That's where a lot of it is. A lot of it is, SEO, because I have the customer base to begin with was built on my audience, which was mostly in SEO. But there's also graphics and web design, and then you can get into other things like consulting and like virtual assistant type services and things like that. And we're adding some AI types of services. So really anything a business could need, but most of it is focused around growth.
Yep, great. And your business model, so you charge the suppliers or freelancers, not the small business clients?
Yeah, so there's a couple different avenues there. For the marketplace portion, that's exactly right. Now there is like a 3% credit card fee that the customer is passed on to, but the primarily it comes from if you buy $100 service, the freelancer will get $85 once it's done, and we'll get 15.
Yeah, great. And how did you start out?
Before we move on to that too, the other part of it, I mentioned we have some software built in, and then there are different options there, and there's like monthly options, and then there's like credit based options and things like that. So
Yeah, great.
so and I first I had 3 different degrees, and the first one was I don't know how it works in Australia, but we have associates and bachelors and masters and so on. I have an associate's degree in computer programming. That's like a 2-year degree, and then a 4-year degree in information technology, and then a master's degree in public policy. And I use absolutely none of those uh, for what I do now. After college,
Yeah, I've got three as well.
yeah. After college, I did a few different things. I worked in politics briefly. I worked in IT doing like level 1 tech support, was like where I was before I started my businesses. I forgot my password, that type of stuff. I absolutely hated that. I'm not cut out for that at all. Although it has ended up serving us well because we have really good customer support because of that experience. But from there, as I was doing that, I was in some credit card debt, and I just needed to like make more money to like get out of it. And plus I was miserable. So I found a blog post about affiliate marketing. I just stumbled onto it, and I started trying to do some of that. And I did well with that, but not well enough to quit my job. And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time was called SEO, but it was basically I was creating sites and making them show up in Google and getting affiliate or ad traffic from that. And I was doing well. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But then come along, I think it was late 2013, 2014, the Penguin 2.0 update came out, and like all my traffic went away. But at that point I'd gotten hooked. I was like, you can make money from your computer. I got to figure out how to keep doing this. So I bought a course that talked about doing SEO for clients, meaning you would go find a small business and like help them show up higher. So I started doing that while I was still at my day job. I would send cold emails to people which I look back on them now, I cringe but you know what? It worked. I'd get a client here and a client there. And if I had to take a call, I would go into the bathroom because I was still at my job. And like, I wasn't supposed to be doing this while I'm working, but I would go take a call in the bathroom, like I was in my office. And like, that. And then I started doing freelancing through that platform I mentioned before. And between the two of those, I was able to quit the job eventually. And originally, again, just was going to focus on my SEO agency, which I still have. But then Legiit came along, and I guess I kind of already told that story. So
Yeah, great. Fantastic. And so what year did you start Legiit, and how old were you?
39.
And do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business over the last 7 years?
Yeah. So first we started with basically just whatever I had a Facebook group, And it just kind of started. That was where the customer, both the customer and the freelancer base came from. And it's kind of not exactly what you asked, but that's a big problem in growing a marketplace is you kind of have two businesses. You have to keep the supply, you have to find the supply and the demand. But anyway, since then we've grown, first of all, every month has been the best month of ever, except for April 2020, which I'm sure you can figure out why that wasn't the case. But we've consistently grown every year. We have around, I want to say around 400,000 or 500,000 users. Active users fluctuates into the six-figure range. As far as freelancers, we've actually made a concerted effort to reduce that number to improve the quality, but we still have thousands of freelancers as well. And yeah, and then every year, like I can't give specific numbers, but we do around 10 figures. We do around 8 figures in revenue a year. So
Right.
10 figures. Wow. That would be nice.
And yeah, it would be very nice. It's over $100 million. And what about number of full-time equivalent team members? I assume you started on your own. So one, where are you at now?
Well, yeah, I started on my own, and originally the goal was just to make as much as I did at my job. Like that was my philosophy. I was like, I want to just replace my income and work for myself. Well, turns out that doesn't really work in the real world. But I started with one hire and then two, and now I would say between contractors that work for us full time and actual full time employees, probably around 35 to 50, between 35 and 50, because people come and go. But yeah, in that range, I would say right now it's probably about 40 if I had to put a number on it.
That's great growth. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the thing that's really, I think, impressive about that, well, there's two things. Well, there's three actually. One is we have people in every continent except for Antarctica. Every time I share that, somebody's like, I'll move to Antarctica if you give me a job. But anyway, so the upside to that is that you always have somebody available because it's always business hours somewhere. The downside to that is someone always needs something because it's always business hours somewhere. So that's one of my favorite stats. The other one is I've never fired not one person in 8 years, almost 8 years. I guess it was around 8 years now. And then the other one is we've only ever had two people quit, and they were for reasons unrelated to the company. So I'm very, very proud of the team and like the consistency and the value and the effort they put in. Like some of them, I say it jokingly, but I almost think it's true. I tell them that you seem to like the company more than I do some days,
Yeah. Great. We'll get on to the culture question a bit further on. When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
I don't know that you ever 100% feel like that. I'd like Elon Musk probably feels like he hasn't succeeded. I think there's always some of that, but I think I want to say around 2023 when I started doing like speaking engagements, and not because of the speaking engagement, but because I was able to go and do those, and the business kept going with I don't want to say without me because you're always aware, but when I could do other things besides doing things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know I can't put a specific date on that, but when I realized that I could go do other things, and the business would be okay, that would do it. For example, I just moved from South Carolina, which is on the East Coast, to Las Vegas, and it took me 4 days to drive that. And I was basically useless for those 4 days, and everything went fine.
Yep. What does success look like to you?
Well, our goal is to have every business on earth use our platform to grow their business or help their business. And every day that we get closer to that, it's success. So the actual success, probably unattainable, but the more we move that direction, the more we good. So I know it's a bit vague, but it's not like a revenue number for me, or it's not like a big exit or anything like that. It's to help other businesses grow, because I think businesses are what I want to help improve the world. And I think business is the vehicle that does that more than anything else.
No,
I actually
absolutely.
started a nonprofit recently to teach entrepreneurship to like disadvantaged children. I haven't really gotten to do anything with it yet, but
Yeah. Well, small business creates most preponderance of jobs in most developed nations, and more than 50% of jobs in first world countries are generated by small businesses. Yeah.
yeah. And that's where like real freedom comes from, in my opinion. Like real power over your own life is being, not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur, but they, if I had somebody to tell me that when I was, 20 years younger, the answer I gave you earlier at 39 would have been 19, and how much more impact could I have had? So that's why it's important to me.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast growing business?
Keep your personal expenses as low as possible, so you can take more risks and invest more in the business. And you don't need to, the more money you make, you don't have to spend that much more on yourself. It's okay to keep living the same way you are. So that helped me a lot in the beginning. And it's not something I necessarily a conscious choice I made. I don't really have much of an appetite for things. Like I don't care about cars or fancy places to live or anything like that. And that helped me a lot because I could invest more in my business and put more time into it. So it sounds like it's fairly low level, but if you're just starting out, like that's really important to have that flexibility that I don't have to make decisions to help me make next month's rent. You know what I mean? I can have that as like a freedom to take risk and gamble. So I guess that's that. The other one would be to, if you can do it yourself, avoid taking on investors, because I don't know about you, but I got into business to make decisions for myself. And as soon as you take on investors, you become an employee, at least at some level.
Yeah, totally. I've had over 30 business partners in 15 businesses across 3 countries. So I certainly know the pain when you get that wrong, both passive investors as well as active ones working in the business with you. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's businesses that are going to need it. Like if you're needing to grow
Yeah.
like I honestly would probably be further, like our growth would have been faster if I'd taken on investors, but I wouldn't get to do what I want. And that's really what it's about for me.
Yeah. And how did you fund your business? You've mentioned the credit cards early on, and you haven't taken investors on in this business.
How did I fund it? Yeah. Well, first of all, my partner handled the tech side. He had a web development agency and he handled the development side for his percentage of the company. And the rest of it was just self-funded. Like, as I told you, I was really successful at freelancing. One of the things I did was funnel people into like a Facebook group and a YouTube channel. And I built distribution with not realizing that's what I did. And now looking back, I realize it, but distribution for myself. So when we opened the doors, there was already a customer base built in. So, and we've just funded from there. And I've been very, very fortunate that year looking back on it, I realized that I accidentally did something that some people are doing much more successfully now, like Mr. Beast or Logan Paul. They built distribution through their brand, and now they can just apply that to whatever they do. He sells like chocolate bars and like energy drinks, and he's what I mean. So that's I guess that's another tip is get your distribution before you have your product if you're able to.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
I probably wouldn't do a marketplace again because the market has shifted in those 8 years and there's just not as much room for them. But overall, I would still do something in business growth. Yeah.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
There have been a few. Early COVID was one. Like the first couple weeks, I had thought for sure we were done. It turned out to be our biggest growth period ever because like, we happened to be in the right business at the right time. Others have been, we faced a lot of fraud that has cost us a lot of money over the years. And I can't even go into all of it because there's litigation going on with one of them, but that has been a lot. And then I guess it's hard to say, like and they happen in real time. So it's hard to like look back on particular ones, but there've been a couple times when I had like personal things that took up too much headspace and took away from the business. So those are kind of the big ones. I know that's not a very specific answer, but
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
there's a few. Personal branding has been huge for me. And I didn't really want to do that when I started. I wanted to just sit behind my keyboard and push buttons and have my computer make money for me. Turns out that's not a thing. So I had to like get good at like what I call the celebrity method of like making myself famous within the industry to bring people into me by doing literally the kind of thing I'm doing right now. And then the other one is I never really, like I said, I set out to just make enough money to get by. I never really intended to be like a CEO. And now like most of what I do is help make decisions and train people and motivate people and inspire people and have meetings. And I didn't know how to do any of that. I had to learn all that on the job. So learning that has obviously like helped been the biggest, like, what is it called? The biggest constraint that we removed. But I had to figure it out as I went and you have to figure that out because like there's a finite amount of time. We all only get 24 hours. And the only way to get more hours is through more people. And the only way to have more people doing things successfully is to lead them properly. And I didn't know how to do that, but I hopefully they think that I've done a good job at learning that. And I think I have too.
How did you go about learning that? Like, were the resources you leaned on, courses, books?
Not really. Anything I found any course you bought on it was not. I mean, I have taken courses that were impactful, but not on that particular topic. If I had to point to one book though that really helped change the direction, it was actually the Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson. I learned a lot about what to do and what not to do because he was a very complex individual with a lot of things you can learn. Again, what that he did successfully, but also ways that he treated people that you don't want to emulate.
No. Have you read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight?
I have. That's another great one.
That is an awesome book. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone through that one twice actually. Yeah, I like how his was basically just one problem after the other for 40 years. He
Absolutely.
had to figure it out.
It was a roller coaster. I couldn't put my pods down. I think I'll listen to it pretty much in one day. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, same. It took me a couple days. And like one part at the end I like is when it's like catches up to real time and he runs into like
Warren
uh
Buffett, Bill
and
Gates.
Bill Gates at the movie theater and he's like, you think you're successful and then you realize that these two guys have $1 trillion in net worth between them.
Yeah. Running to
He's
them at the movies. Yeah, it was hilarious.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, back on the learning on the job as being a leader, we've certainly seen that. There's a real void, we believe. There's some good material out there. We've pulled that together plus our own teachings, which is why we put together our 12-week people program. So the first 2 weeks for the owner to do the effective leader course, then the 2 weeks on recruitment and 8 weeks on kick-ass manager. And you can get your other managers in the business to do that, the recruitment and the management course as well, because a lot of owners don't invest enough professional development to become better leaders and managers, or they can't find the right or best material out there. So we've condensed it all into our program. Yeah.
That's good. There's definitely a need for that because I had to figure it out as I went,
Yeah.
I mean, I know there is training out there for it, but I don't know. Maybe it's just I didn't look hard enough or whatever, but I just didn't find anything that resonated with me. And I also, like I said, stuff happens in real time. I didn't go, I need to learn how to be a leader now. You know what I mean? Like I just one day I had two people and then three people. And next thing I know, it's like this sprawling organization. So
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
it's never fast enough, first of all. Like no matter how fast you go, it's never enough. But also it tends to break things in your business if you grow too fast. So not being able to grow as infinitely fast has been very frustrating to me at times. Like I have to like build the systems and stuff, especially because in a tech heavy platform like ours, like development time is a big part of what helps us grow, and development takes a while. And the entrepreneur in me is like, well, can't we just like do it? And I don't realize that, it takes, 3 weeks to code something like that. We can't just do it. So that's probably is the bottlenecks in as far as time and the consequences of growing fast.
Have you deliberately paused growth at any point, like turned off the marketing so that you can turn around and work on the systems and, the back office to ready for that?
Not entirely. A lot of ours comes organically, so I couldn't turn it off if I wanted to. Advertising is a smaller portion of our growth. So no, I mean, like I say, a lot of it comes from like community and word of mouth and personal branding. So I couldn't turn it off if I wanted to.
That's great.
Yeah,
What do you love most about growing a small business?
there's a lot because like I really like helping people. Like I told you, I briefly said I went into politics, and that was naively with the intent to like help people. And I like our model because we get to help businesses, which in turn helps people. And the more we grow, the more people I get to hire and the more lives I get to help there too. So uh, it gives me the opportunity to help people and not be broke at the same time. Because like the other options for helping people are, you know, charity and donating time and things like that. And those are great. And I do some of that too, but you also have to like keep the lights on. So I think business kind of squares that circle.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
When I got to the point where I don't have a lot of tasks to do and I just have a lot of thinking to do, some days there's not 8 hours of work for me to do. And thinking like a CEO whose job it is to come up with ideas and growth and management, as opposed to someone whose job it is to do things. Uh, Once I embraced that, things really changed a lot and got over the I'll just do it myself because I can do it better thing.
The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
They need to remember that their job is to continually get new business and not to do whatever it is that their business does. If they're a plumber, their job is not to plumb. That's not the right word, but to do plumbing, their job is to get more business because I do some consulting. And when I ask them how they get new business, I cringe when they say, "Oh, it's all through referral or through word of mouth." I'm like, "Well, you don't have a business if that's the case. It's like that can stop tomorrow. You need to come up with ways to generate new leads and new content and new emails and new customers all the time so that if you and never take your foot off the gas, no matter how busy you get, because that can all stop. So as long as you have more, the better you are. So get better at generating business for your business and then worry about, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a good product or service, but then worry about fulfilling it. Sales solves everything, I guess, is if I had to sum
Yeah.
that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you a small business owner who is ready to take your professional growth to the next level? Sign up to the Grow a Small Business Weekly newsletter. This is your go-to email every Friday and will take about 2 minutes to read. Join the Grow a Small Business community who, like you, are investing in their professional development. Each week, we curate valuable resources, whether it's expert advice, books, podcasts, industry insights, or actionable strategies. We've got you covered. Leave your email at growasmallbusiness.com/weekly.
Can you talk how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
I don't have good advice on that because I've been very fortunate. Like my first employee came from a referral, and so did the second one. And then some of them recommended their friends and family, and then some of them. So I've really never had to like go to do like the Upwork or LinkedIn or any like actual recruitment. That's not common, and I can't give that as advice because not everybody's going to be as fortunate as I have. But all but maybe one or two have come from recommendations. It's funny because I just criticized that, but they've come from recommendations or just people I met. Like I also, my platform has a lot of freelancers, so we've pulled from that pool a
Yeah,
couple of times too. So I know I don't have good advice on that, unfortunately.
that's right. What are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
Getting to know the people that, yeah, if your organization gets too big, you won't be able to get to know everyone, but get to know as many of them as you possibly can. Have inside jokes with them, know about their family and have community jokes, being community, meaning the people in your organization, jokes and things that you have in common and things that you talk about. Like if you're somebody that works for you messages you and says, I can't come in today because Billy's really sick. And you don't know if Billy's their husband or their dog or their kid, that's a problem.
Mm.
So you need to know them and know them as people and don't look at them as resources. I cringe when I hear a business say, I have a VA in the Philippines do that. Like it's not even a person.
Yeah.
Like know them as people and respect them as people and you even if that ends up not working out, it's still the right thing to do. But it also, in my experience, gets people that are very loyal and dedicated that way. And also share with them your vision for the company and make it theirs too. So the goal can't just be make more money than last month. Like we have a long-term vision and I get people to buy into that. And I think that helps a lot too.
Yeah, well, the numbers bear out. If you've only had 2 people leave over the 7 years and you've never had to fire anyone. So I think you're doing something right there, Chris, both on the hiring front and the culture front. So well done.
Thank you.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
I'm laughing because I often say that people that want work-life balance, just really what they're really saying when they say that is that they don't want to work.
Yep.
Uh, so that said, I let everything go for the first 7, 8 years, going back like to when I was still working. So don't do that. Find time for yourself. Take care of your health. Learn how to sleep properly. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's been very big for me. So carve out some time for that, but also don't think that work-life balance means that both are going to be equal, because that's just not going to happen. Or at least it shouldn't. I think that it's almost disrespectful to want work-life balance, because when you say that, what you're saying is neither my work nor my time or my personal life are worth enough to get 100%. There are ways you can integrate both of them to where they both get 100%. So I mentioned sleep. If I sleep better, I'm more productive at work, which means I make more money, which I can invest more into my health, which makes me more productive at work. And it's kind of like a synergy more than a balance. I feel like when you say balance, you're saying that neither of them deserve your full attention.
Yeah, no, it's a loaded question for a reason.
Yeah.
How much professional development have you invested in yourself?
A lot. I've bought a lot of courses, gone to I read a lot of books. I already mentioned a couple. Probably, and in fairness, I've like bought courses that I never even like read or watched, but a lot. I spend a lot on that. First of all, it's a tax write-off here in the States, so that's good. But in more than that, like if you get one little idea from something, you can take that and turn it into a whole thing. So I don't know that I don't have a dollar figure to give you, but a lot.
Have
I
you had
would
mentors?
probably be sad if I knew the dollar figure.
Have you had mentors or coaches along the way?
Yeah, a few, like not directly, but do you know who Alex Becker is?
Name sounds familiar. Tell me about him.
Hyros, he owns Hyros.
Oh, yes. I was just listening to a Neil Patel podcast with Eric just yesterday, actually, marketing school podcast, which is a great one. And they were talking about Hyros because he started an e-commerce business, I think, and was pissed.
Sort of.
Well, yeah, was pissed off with how shitty attribution is, as you'd well know, out there. So went and started Hyros and but sold it for 110 million US recently.
Kind of. He sold a portion of it, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he started in SEO as well, and I kind of learned a lot from him. And then I was in a mastermind of his for a while, and then he went on to do the e-commerce thing. And it's funny, I was in the room when he had the light bulb to like he had to get better at tracking, because did you know who Sam Ovens is?
Yeah, Kiwi who had consulting.com, now school. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Alex.
he was I was at Alex Becker's mastermind, and Sam was like a guest speaker there. And he asked, we had a bunch of really successful people in the room, and he asked, how are you all tracking? Sam asked, how are you all tracking your ads? And nobody had an answer.
Yeah.
And Alex started asking questions, and shortly thereafter, he shut down his old business, Market Hero, and went all in on ad tracking. And I was literally in the room when he had the idea for it. So that's kind of cool. So he's somebody I learned a lot from back in the day. I haven't really paid for a lot of that kind of thing, because I feel like you get like one or two things from it and it's like way overpriced. But I've learned a lot from like the names you'll know, the Alex Hormozis and things like that. So,
Do you
but
ever
really
bought a
books I find to be more instructive, like books, especially like things that are not instructional, but like biography type books, like we talked about, I find are like the best sources of learning things.
Do you ever board of directors or advisors?
No,
Chris, one of our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
I guess constantly keeping the balance of keeping enough business coming in without breaking the business and still offering a good product or service.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
It's a Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson, but there's another one called Modern Monopolies, and I can never remember the author's name, but that one helped us a lot too.
Oh, look, I haven't heard of that one. I'll add it to my list. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any great
We got-
podcasts? I'll go, sorry.
Well, yours, of course.
Thank you.
I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts, to be honest.
Yeah. One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
I mean, the selfish part of me wants to say legit.
Yeah.
If, really, if I had to give you one single tool, it would be a $20 Chat GPT subscription is worth more than any other tool that you'll ever buy.
Can you believe one of my degrees, as I mentioned, is in computing? I still yet haven't cracked open the AI can of worms. So I haven't even jumped onto ChatGPT yet. My business partners and friends are all at me because of all, half my 15 companies are tech companies. So you would think that I'd be right on that, but I just know that as soon as I do, I won't sleep for 3 weeks and people won't see me for a few months. So
Yep. And I'm going through that myself. In the beginning, I thought it was going to be a fad. Like I thought it was like the latest thing that people were obsessed with. And then one day we had like a few reports where I have to like combine data and spreadsheets, and it requires a lot of copy and pasting. I'm like, God, I really don't feel like doing this. And I was like, let me just on a whim, I was like, let me throw these into ChatGPT, tell them to combine it and see if it can do it. And it did. And I've been hooked ever since.
wow. Yep. Fly on my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
Figure out your long-term goal before you do anything else. Because if you get into that mode where you're constantly just trying to make more money than last month or put out the fire that just happened or whatever, you're never going to get out of it and you're going to make bad decisions.
Awesome to chat today, Chris. I really enjoyed it. Everything you said aligns with my thoughts on business. Congratulations on the growth over the years, starting out in corporate jobs and lower level IT support jobs, etc. Starting your SEO agency by accident, taking sales calls at your day job, ducking into the bathroom to talk with prospects, and then stumbling upon the growth platform, which is now Legiit, with well over 100,000 businesses doing around 8 figures US dollars, and with the goal to help every business on the planet. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And for our audience, we'd greatly appreciate a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. More reviews means we bubble up higher in iTunes, etc. So more business owners looking for podcasts to help with their growth will find us.